Hello, this is Jessica Pettitt, and I am presenting a program specifically that my mastermind group formed to help other people build, improve, or gracefully get out of a mastermind that may not be serving you. So this is a recording specifically for the National Speakers Association New England chapter, and I imagine it might also be shared amongst other chapters of the National Speakers Association. So hello. Welcome, everyone. I am a tech dork, but I'm going to try and figure out how to do this, and I think I may have figured it out. Okay, great. So here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so the reason why I started this program was because I was switching fields myself. I was pivoting audiences. And I decided that I wanted to get a cohort of people that I could support them in their businesses while also really getting their attention on my business to help me and my business get to the next level. So I created Gas Pedal Down, and what we're going to be doing today is talking specifically about how I created the group, what a basic level group, what a pretty good group is, and then the concept of Gas Pedal Down is the idea of this incredibly high functioning group that I couldn't imagine doing my business without. So my group is made up of Eliz Greene, Gerry O'Brion, and Thom Singer. Eliz Greene was actually intended to be here today and had an emergency, so I'm doing it on my own, which is great. But the idea is that this group of four of us, this three people in my life, are some of my most valuable business assets. They also have become dear friends. Our partners are friends. And that ongoing support has more than doubled all of our businesses in the 5 or so years that we have been together. So, some people may not know what a mastermind is. It is not a new concept. Some say that Benjamin Franklin came up with the idea. There's also CEO roundtables, YPO groups, EO groups, even National Speakers Associations, affinity groups or community groups, PEGs back in the day. All of these are groups that are specifically small function pieces to be able to focus on your business. Sometimes they're in the same industry, sometimes they're not. The idea is to be able to give certain people focus time. The structure of our mastermind group it contains 3 different bits. First, we meet virtually almost every month for 2 hours so that each person gets about a half hour, it's usually about 25 minutes focus time. 2, we meet in person at least once, but we try for twice a year for 2.5 days. We usually get an Airbnb, have dinner, things like this, really focus on each other's business, usually for about 2.5 hours. And then the crossover work of helping each other leads to some more kind of aha moments for each person. And then 2 years ago, we started a new thing where we meet as a mastermind, and then after 2 days of meeting, all of our partners also come together, and we have kind of a vacation for each other. So that's kind of the structure. Sometimes we get asked a lot about like the administrative stuff. Details are always handled on a rotating basis, either setting up the doodle call and the agenda for phone calls or being the timekeeper for the in-person ones. We all do our own travel for the in-person ones, but rental cars and groceries or any meals or something that we have together are evenly distributed amongst the 4 of us. Those kind of admin things are taken care of by someone. We purposely rotate it because that actually can be exhausting. I hear all the time about bad mastermind groups is that one person is the person who's always in charge of when is the next call going to be and doing the agenda for the call and keeping time for the call. And if you're always that person, one, it's a good defense mechanism to not have things actually improve in your business and deflect some of the attention, but it also is burdensome and everybody should be invested. We also have a rule that you don't miss any of the phone calls or the in-person meetings. If you get some dream $1 billion gig or something, then we'll reschedule. And if you have to miss because of family emergencies or something, we'll figure it out. But the general assumption is that you don't miss. So not a new concept. So the life of a basic mastermind group. Eliz made these amazing slides, by the way. I'm not this cool, but the idea is that it kind of starts somewhere, it gets comfortable, it's performing, it goes back to comfort, and then eventually the group kind of slacks or kind of falls apart. So this is about the measuring the scale of effectiveness throughout the life of a basic mastermind group. If the idea that you're starting comforting, performing, it's amazing, and then it kind of gets comfortable again, you stop challenging each other, and you begin to slack. What we would encourage you to do, or I would encourage you to do, is that if you stop performing and you've moved back into that comfort zone, that's really a time where you need to start trying to figure out if you need to move out of that group, or if you need to employ some of these tactics to really help it maintain at a performing level. So the life of an advanced mastermind group, at least based on kind of where we're coming from, is if that is kind of your basic or typical, then an advanced mastermind group starts, gets comfortable, performs, and kind of continues to perform. I am just as scared to death of my mastermind groups as I am comfortable and supported by them. That keeps the performance level really high. I actually came up with the concept or the idea of gas pedal in my own book. And the idea is that the gas pedal is the thing that we often need to kind of get over ourselves or get out of our ways based on our own habits. We can come off of the gas pedal when we need to slow down, or I usually need to focus more on strategy, and others need to complete or follow through or actually do those things. It's not so much literally about acceleration as much as it is moving your own motivation to actually increase and greatly increase the level of performance for yourself and your business. The elements of effective masterminds, what we've done is we've tried to focus on key pieces, and we'll talk about the basics in the middle and then what that gas pedal might look like. If we look at these 5 categories of perspective, commitment, preparation, focus with pressure, and accountability, and these 5 things have those 3 levels, you should be able to diagnose your own group, you should be able to improve your own group, gracefully get out, and or form your own group. So basic, advanced, and gas pedal levels. Again, I said this, the basic level is often people kind of come, they are able to, they often live in the same geographic area, they serve the same market, there's not a lot of variation, so you're able to kind of do a mastermind group. Sometimes these are called accountability groups, which fine and serve a purpose. The idea of leveraging other viewpoints is to be able to kind of look at people who you're familiar with or they're familiar with your topics and be able to give each other advice from that place of similarity. If we move that to the advanced level, members are often chosen to provide specific point of views or specific differences, talents, things like that. As I mentioned, I was interested in shifting or pivoting from the college market to a more corporate market. So I created some rubrics, and I encourage you to do this as well, is what are deal breakers and what are things that mandatories they must have. And if you can come up with at least 3 of those, then you can kind of form a box to then be able to look at people. I narrowed it down to a Facebook community group just because there's so many people. So my deal breakers were, I wanted people specifically in new markets, so not in the college market. As a diversity trainer, I also didn't want a mastermind group with another diversity expert. So their market might be different, but their topic was the same. So no diversity, no college. And then another group I had been to, one of the things that annoyed me the most about that group, was not a high functioning group, was that there was very little follow through amongst the members of that group. We'd come up with these lists and they kind of just never did anything. So every time we met, they had the same to-do list, and that was not very motivating to me. So the three things I looked for was follow through, no diversity topics, and not in a college market. And I began to kind of narrow it down until I eventually came up with some people, and people always follow up with this and ask, but I just called them. I was not close friends with them, but I looked them up online and I called them and I explained what I was doing. I was totally prepared for them to say no, and they didn't say no. And we've been meeting now for about 5 years. So if this is leveraging other viewpoints, the advanced level is designing to fill specific needs. So I put my group together because I needed this specific thing. And that clarity, I think, also provided a better invitation to the others. The gas pedal level is when these members get together and we're able to communicate with one another. That we also invite other people to join us for dinner, specifically in our in-person meetings. Doing this, it creates new perspectives, but it also really helps us all begin to focus on someone else for a second before we all start to really focus in on our own businesses. It always generates better ideas. And it's also really nice to be of service to our guests. We typically call this piece bringing in fresh blood. The idea, again, is that when we meet in person, we're in a city or something, somebody, specifically, usually an NSA member who lives in that city, we've prearranged in advance for them to come to dinner or go out to dinner. And we don't necessarily focus on their business. They don't necessarily focus on our business, but it's more about the industry, trends, and how we're doing. But that's usually this intentionality of leaving something open that I think is the first piece of really making sure that your mastermind gets to the next level. Commitment, on the basic level, like I said, you're really supposed to be there. You share examples, you provide assurance or confidentiality, you eventually can become comfortable with one another, you feel safe, you reveal business or personal information that can develop trust and friendships, things like that. That's pretty basic. Building trust and friendships, great. But if we want to go a step beyond that, the advanced level group recognizes that things don't always work for every member. The commitment of the group could be challenging, the discussions at the phone calls or even in person. Some people have a much more impactful period or really got something out of it. Other people may have given more than they took. I think that this is a normal state for a mastermind group. People or members, their priorities and needs change. And the idea of advanced level for commitment is really just being honest and allowing members of the mastermind group to move on as their career shifts or their lives change or something. And even discussing how moving on may impact the group. I think that this is a really important piece around commitment. Our group was originally 5 people, and one of the people that was invited into the mastermind, his career completely shifted. He isn't a professional speaker, at least not full-time anymore. His time commitments really got much different in much different buckets than they were when we first started the mastermind. And he's very committed to us as people, but just couldn't commit to the mastermind group. And so it's not necessarily that we let him go, it's just that it kind of became the 4 of us. Now, if we're building trust and friendships, managing member fit is important in letting somebody go, but it's also maybe important in also kind of managing how people show up in the call. I've heard a number of people talk about people who don't make time. They say they're going to be there, they're not there, they're always late, they never sign up to do the administrative stuff. They only provide information through their own lens without really listening to where somebody else is coming from. So this commitment is work, and it needs to constantly be managed. Now, the gas pedal level, what's important about this is that we show up, the four of us show up, expecting not just our businesses, but our entire lives to be impacted. They can be really scary kind of meetings, but we bring 100% of ourselves to the table. We try to lower our defenses and open up to folks, and if we don't, they're just going to call us out on it anyway, because that's the kind of relationship you're developing. So it's more than just trust and friendship, and it's more than just fit. But when I show up to the calls or when I show up in person, I am expecting that my life, not just my business, but my life will change. And if you enter a conversation with that level of expectation, you listen differently, you participate differently, and you are open to feedback and ideas in a different manner that really does actually result in a life-changing effect. Now, preparation is kind of the next piece. The beauty really is the key word, I think, of preparation of the mastermind group, even at the basic level, is intentionally examining your business before the meeting and preparing questions you need to be answered or issues in which you need perspective. So this is kind of like showing up with what you want to talk about, or being able to hold each other accountable to what you said last time you were going to do. And these questions or issues are easily explored within the focus time that you have, either on the phone call or in the in-person meeting. That's basic level. You come with your burning questions or your burning issues. The advanced level is not only do you actually take care of those, but you are open to a way of receiving ideas, receiving experiences, receiving insights to your own patterns or excuses or your own spots that you're not noticing, or that kind of honest feedback comes at you, but it is also possible that it goes out. It may be difficult to understand this, but it's a really important thing that the members of the group who are not currently in the hot seat need to be able to see what outside perspectives can see. Sometimes you also learn things from somebody else's hot seat that may apply to your own life or come up with some kind of clarity. But if it's more than burning questions, but it's really calling out blind spots and being allowed to, or allowing yourself to hear when they're being called out. The gas pedal down level is actually anticipating the blind spots of someone else or yourself, because now you're in the habit of those things being noticed and being called out, so that you can actually anticipate a conversation so that it's much more deep and much more effective really quickly, and you're actually driving that depth. Members can point out even more now that you've handled the ones that you're used to, or you kind of revert back to ones that you thought you had a handle on, but you end up forgetting or you didn't. Focus with pressure. So the basic mastermind level of this, I think, is important, is the internal pressure to complete tasks. You made promises on the last call, the last time you got together, that you're going to get stuff done. You need to get it done because you have to report out that you need to get it done. The internal pressure to get things done basically is so that you're not embarrassed. Maybe it's internally competitive so that you're doing a better job than somebody else in the group on following through. The advanced level are more motivated externally, either because they're getting ready to receive praise, or you just don't want to disappoint others. Thom, at one of the meetings, came up with the idea of having a podcast. And we all said this was a stupid idea and that it was a really big distraction and you just shouldn't do it. And on the advanced level, he decided to go ahead and do it. But because he wanted to make sure, if he's going against his mastermind's word, then it had to be the most amazing podcast ever. So he really dove in. He didn't kind of half-ass it. And he created a podcast that was just ranked top 20 business podcasts or something. And he's got 500 episodes. But that advanced level motivation is external, because you're not just being held accountable to getting it done, but it has to be done really, really, really well. So not just completing the tasks, but the external pressure to live up to the group standard becomes important. Then the gas pedal level isn't let off a hot seat ever until the group decides that it's been enough or that progress has been made. Deflections or habitual deflections are redirected. Deep-seated beliefs are dug up and exposed, and mindsets can be reset. This can be repeated a million times, often needs to be, but there is no exit ramp. You can't get away from the support and love and kindness and challenge of the members of a high-functioning support group. Then accountability. So on a basic level, the idea is you're supposed to show up, you're supposed to write goals, they have deadlines, progress on those are tracked, yay, successes are celebrated. Great, there's nothing wrong with that. You write goals, you set deadlines, that's important, sounds great. This is how most of us have gotten book projects done, is we set up a timeline and we're going to do it. But to go one more step further, the idea is that no one buys anybody's excuses. With a degree of kindness and compassion, but mostly very direct conversation, my mastermind group refuses to allow any of the members to go back to safety, comfort zone habits that are standing in the way of success or growth when everything else is in place for success and growth to happen. So we might, yeah, sure, write goals and deadlines. And we also know that excuses don't work when everyone is witness to your habits and your stories. That just doesn't fly anymore. It can't do it. Then one step further, and I'll tell you a story about Eliz. The idea here is that whatever the hurdle is that's blocking the way to the next level, when it is a belief that you belong at this level, not this level, that can be deconstructed by your mastermind group. When you actually can believe in yourself that you belong at this level, the mastermind group at the gas pedal level supports you and gets you there. The brilliance of each member having their back, being able to support each other back and forth, and really challenging each other towards growth and acceptance and success allows for that accountability to get to the next level. Now, for this particular one, being each other's gas pedal, I think of Eliz when one day she was sharing a post-it note collection of all the things that she was doing. And it was so much stuff that had nothing to do with their business. And so Thom actually just took a couple of the post-it notes, crumpled them up, and threw them over her shoulder. And I thought Eliz was going to have a heart attack, which isn't funny because she's actually had a lot of heart attacks. She couldn't believe we just threw them away. But then she realized that she was doing a lot of extra stuff and she just needed to quit. So she did. So the next time we meet up, so it's almost a year later, she's all super proud of herself. And so what she decided to do was that she was going to come with the post-it notes of all the things that she's doing and she's working on. And she did. And so she brought like 5 of her little post-it notes, which was fine. And I'm trying to make another light source because it's getting very dark here. So hopefully that's better. So she showed up with all of her post-it notes. And so then I just said, oh, okay, this is great. What about all the stuff you're doing that didn't make a post-it note? And I called her out on her bluff because she thought she could like organize her way back and look like she took our feedback from last time, but also was still doing a lot of stuff that wasn't directly focused on her business. So by being each other's gas pedals, we were able to hold each other accountable and keep our habits in mind. And she was actually able to make a really big breakthrough in her business. So, elements of effective masterminds again: perspective, commitment, preparation, focus with pressure, and accountability. The combination of those can be at a basic, advanced, or gas pedal level, and they can move amongst the 3. But what we are hoping to do with this program was to provide the opportunity for you to assess any group that you're currently in. Can you get it up to the next level? Can it be improved? If it can't be improved, can you move along? Because it may actually be tying up your energy, your resources, or your time and preventing you from actually growing your own business. And if that's the case, then can you intentionally do some work to figure out how to build a mastermind where you can support someone else's business growth and they can support yours. If you can do this, then you use these 3 extra bonuses. The extras is at the basic levels, understanding how other people work with their clients and form your client relationships and could potentially expand your own network. You know, knowing each other, getting to know each other, sharing. Knowing what others do for clients helps your clients and also helps the members of your mastermind potentially get more work. The next level, though, is the way that the mastermind group members find ways to refer each other to clients intentionally and create ways to work together. So, for example, Gerry has a strategic planning retreat for corporate teams, and he brought me in to speak at his retreat about my concept of good enough now. So you can know what others do and kind of keep it top of mind, but you can also create ways to refer one another intentionally in your own work with your own clients or outbound stuff after you're done. There was a conference recently in New Mexico where I keynoted, and the 3 other members of the mastermind group all did breakouts. So we all went, we all masterminded right before the conference, and then we got to see each other's newest program live. And I don't know that we're often so competitive in the speakers world, but it was so wonderful to be able to create ways and create that opportunity for all 4 of us to be at the same conference. Then the gas pedal level of being able to do something extra is really to create something that didn't exist before. So Eliz and Thom leveraged their mastermind relationship to create a live stream event simulcast interview program, which they call Conference Talk Show. It was actually used at NSA a couple years ago at Influence, but they had never done that before. And that's how you take knowing what others do, creating ways to refer each other to actually create something that didn't exist. So I challenge you to think about your mastermind group now and notice, is there a way that you could create something that doesn't even exist together? I would not be successful. I might not even be in business. I certainly wouldn't be operating at the level I currently am if it weren't for Eliz Greene, Gerry O'Brion, Thom Singer. And I called 3 strangers by creating a rubric of what my deal breakers were, and I asked, would you be interested in being in a mastermind with me? And they all said yes. There's no excuses. There's no reason why you can't do this. And just in case you think you need help if you're watching this recording, please feel free. So I'm Jessica Pettitt. I'm more than happy to help you along the way. Feel free to text message me at 202-670-4262, 202-670-4262. If you're able to do that, then I think what we can do is be able to help. And if we can help, then and only then would we be able to answer your questions in the moment as you're forming your own mastermind group. If you can do that, and I can help you along the way, then I think all of our businesses are going to be better for it. So thank you very much. If you have thoughts or comments, again, text message 202-670-4262. Thank you very much. Have a good night.